Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome to a brand new show, and we are going to be talking about Romania. It's all Romania this evening. Romania had their Selecția Națională final, and boy, did we have something very, very special to talk about in Romania this evening. But hang on. Sorry, Tom. Sorry about this. Hi, Krista. You told me Dolly Star were one of the favourites to win Melody Festivalen. You even got the press to vote for it on Friday evening. What happened? I lost £100. Habibi, bollocks. What's that? You want me to back a new act? Who is it this time?
Stuart, we're live.
Are you sure?
We're live.
Okay, leave it to me. Love to Martin. Speak soon. Bye. Sorry, back there. Welcome to ESC Fan TV. I'm back. Tom did a great job as host last night, but that's right. I'll take one night off and Eurovision goes mental. We've had some shocks galore this past 24 hours. Estonia, Latvia, Croatia have all chosen their representative. Sweden had their third semi-final, and in just a couple of weeks, they will choose their winner.
And on top of that, we've got the shocks like your hair.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in mourning, Tom. How on earth did Sweden not put Dolly Star through last night? But hey, you can't have everything in life, right? Let's get straight into it. Selecția Națională, 12 songs, battled it out tonight to win a ticket to Tel Aviv to represent Romania. We are going to react to each of those songs, give you our thoughts, tell us why Romania will or will not qualify from the first half of semi-final 2 this May. And then shortly after, we will take a look at the last 24 hours across Europe and bring you up-to-date information and the major news. Oh yes, there will be spoilers. Stay tuned for an amazing show. It will be fire. And by the way, for those in the chat room, those watching on YouTube, and those that are listening on TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and Spotify, go and like this page. Leave us nice comments. Nasty comments if you like. Tell us what you think and click that subscribe button. So let's get started, shall we? Romania, 19 times in Eurovision. Leave us nice comments. Bit of feedback there. 19 times in Eurovision. First time 1994 with Dan Pittman. Third place twice. First time in 2005 with Let Me Try, and 2010 Playing with Fire. In 2018, Romania failed to qualify for the first time ever with the song with the band The Humans with the song Goodbye. Are they going to qualify in 2019? Linda Teodora with the song Renegades kicked off tonight's show. She was all in white. It was a kind of boob tube with white trousers, 2 backing singers, dark blue backdrop, good vocal. What did we think of this power ballad? Tom, come to you first.
Well, you say power ballad, Stuart, and I say mid-tempo. And we all know that I love mid-tempo. Yeah, she gave it some welly. As Martin would say, it was a great way to open the show. But, yeah, it was never going to do much, was it? She came out with 42 points overall on the night. Yeah, probably a fair response. It wasn't bad at the same time. I wouldn't say it wasn't good either.
And Nets, what did you make of this?
It didn't blow my socks off. I wasn't wearing any, bit like Emily DeForest, but yeah, it just, I don't know. I felt she started a little bit weak, and then she ended strongly. But actually, I didn't understand the construction of the song. It felt a bit like 2 songs rolled into one, in my opinion. So not great for me.
Not a great opener. Okay, we move straight on to song number 2 with Oliver Kay and the song Right Now. It's an up-tempo pop song. Oliver was stood there in a black suit with a pink T-shirt. He had 2 dancers and 3 backing singers. Quite a repetitive song. Nicholas, were you a fan of Right Now?
I liked it. This was my Scandinavian style banger of the evening. I thought it was pretty cool. He performed it very well. It was modern. It was catchy. Maybe yes, a little bit repetitive, but definitely catchy. And I'm surprised it did so poorly with the televoting, only getting a single point from the televoting. I thought this would be the kind of song that people would get behind. Maybe it's not the thing that Romanians get behind. I think if this had entered the Danish song contest, I think it would have done okay.
And Joanne, right now, Oliver Kay, were you a fan of this particular song?
I liked it. I did. It's a nice song. Loved the dancers. Thought the staging was really well thought of, and he was a nice guy. He had a good voice. The only thing for me is it may have, you could tell it would, I thought you end up mid-table, you know, a little bit forgotten, but not bottom. And I was, same as Nicholas, really. I was really surprised it did so poorly with the televote. If I'm honest, it's a shame. So I liked it.
Do you think this could have done better, Joe?
Yeah, I don't know how, though, to be fair, because I think he really did it, you know, I mean, maybe the vocals slightly off. I don't know. I don't know how he could have done much better. I just think that there were better ones on the night, if I'm in all honesty. Yeah.
And Nicholas, coming back to you, and I just want to wish you a happy birthday, because it's your birthday this past week.
Thank you.
My pleasure. On behalf of all of ESC Fan TV, happy birthday. Could Oliver Kay have done anything different to improve his chances?
I think it could be something down to the performance, but I think a lot of the performances tonight were they were a bit random in terms of how they chose to stage. I think the dancers, maybe it didn't work. I don't know. I think it was just a case of this wasn't what the public wanted this year, I suppose.
And Tristan,
Yes.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening.
Laura Bretan was the favourite going into tonight's contest. She won Romania's Got Talent in 2016. The song was Dear Father. What went wrong?
Well, I mean, vocally, I thought it was actually her best performance. I've obviously seen her in the semi-finals, and she's also appeared on a very sort of like a morning chat show in Romania, which I saw. And this performance tonight was by far, I thought, the best one of the 4 different performances I've seen her do. So it's quite hard to know what she did wrong, other than perhaps, unfortunately, she did make some comments which may have, she made some rather out-fashioned comments about gay marriage, and that may have influenced 4 of the juries, because I mean she only lost by 5 points. 5 points, it would have been a draw, and then the televote would have put her through. So it's hard to say really. It is a lovely song, and I do like her voice, but in a way, well, that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really beautiful song, and she's a fantastic singer. Great pedigree as well. Martin, you've championed this song for quite some time. Welcome to the show. Martin, of course, from the Let Me Be the One blog and podcast. What did you make of Laura and her performance tonight?
Well, she couldn't have done much different to what she did do. She had a different dress to any other time she's been on, because there's not much you can do with her staging, basically. She's there, she sings and she smiles and she belts out these amazing notes that you don't expect to come out of a 16-year-old's mouth. Incredible voice. You had the end note, which is just absolutely amazing. I would have put her on a par with Kate Malahide at Tel Aviv, assuming she had got there. Absolutely superb. And she did get 12 points from several of the juries, and she was the top in the televote. I think we'll find that some of the jurors will probably look back on what they saw in the venue as against what we saw on screen, and they might have scored their scores slightly differently. Because I think that, Laura and Bella as well would have got better marks than perhaps they did from the people actually in the venue. But yeah, I don't think there was much else that she could have done. But there might have been a few points difference that would have made a lot of difference. The 12 for Laura here is against for Ester might have made a big difference in the end.
Yeah, sort of strange end to the whole show. But we'll reflect on that later. Teodora Dinu was song 4 with the song Skyscraper. It was a rock pop rock pop number, nice melody to it. Although I did feel that perhaps she had some issues with her vocal. Mitchell, what did you make of Teodora Dinu?
This was a song I really liked as a studio, and this is my first time watching all the performances live, and she was sharp the whole time. I don't know if it was either she was nervous or this song was just too low, because a singer knows when you sing live and you have adrenaline, you actually can sing higher vocally than usually. So I think the key was a really big issue, and she was just pitchy the whole time. The verses were unbearable to me. I felt like she was just breathy singing, and she didn't have a good mix with the backing singers either. I felt like she executed some high notes at the end, but it was all just such an effort. I felt like I was gritting my teeth the whole time. Like, I hope you get there. So, yeah, I don't know.
I just want to say, Mitchell, it's great to have you back on the show. I know you've been having some technical issues.
Yeah.
Yes. And you were down in the Gold Coast for Australia. You decide Eurovision Australia decides. I should say. Thanks. It's good to have you back. Thank you for joining us. Just very quickly, are you happy with Kate?
Yeah, I'm happy with Kate. Obviously, I loved Electric Fields. The atmosphere in the room for Electric Fields was amazing. I've never heard energy like that. But I like her. The staging is a little bit like, oh, if they didn't want to compare her to Estonia last year, they've really put their foot in it. But we shall see how she goes. But yeah. I'm really proud of her anyway.
And were you slightly concerned that Laura Bretan might have been, had she been chosen, she might have been a direct competitor even for Kate Miller-Heidke?
Yeah, maybe. I say one thing with was it Laura from Romania, is that she I actually liked her classical a lot, but I felt like the verses were a little, vulnerable. She was a little shaky. I felt like she did the classical part better than like the contemporary verses. But I like that she was on stage and, performing much more of a contemporary way instead of it with the big fat dress. So, yeah.
And Oban, moving to you. Good to see you.
Hello.
Good to have you on. Hope you're well. Teodora Dinu, Skyscraper. Did this meet the heights for you?
Well, after the first three songs, it gave me a little bit hope. Of course, I was like, it looked like a mature artist. Obviously, I think she had some technical difficulties. She put her headset off and put it on again and take it off again. And there was something going on. The first half was a disaster, and then it get better through the second half of the song. And I thought the note I took for myself is that obviously there's some issues going on with the performance, but I think that's the first act of the night that had a potential for the Eurovision stage.
Oh, okay. Shame the voters didn't agree, but that's our opinion. Tom, just going to come back to you. How you doing, Tom?
Hello.
Good to see you as always. Well done last night. Great show. And I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I know you tried to call me, and I know we spoke briefly at the start. I hope I didn't miss anything of significance, except the wonderful Dolly style, of course. Just coming back to this song, Teodora Dinu, Skyscraper. Did anyone actually see at the end of this song, when the song had finished, they cut to the crowd, and there was a couple of people they were sort of focused on kind of doing this?
It was very polite, wasn't it? It was all very polite.
It was very polite, yeah. I mean, it
probably stems from the fact the song was awful. She was very screechy, wasn't she? I mean, one of the people I feel sorry for, I mean, I'm looking at the marks she got. She didn't get anything in the televote. She got 7 votes from the jury scattered across the evening. She more or less made up the numbers, didn't she?
Wow. I mean, Obed likes it, and I must admit, I didn't mind it. I put down here nice melody, but for me, I think out of the first 4, because there's 12 songs, a good segue into the next 4. I think Laura Bretan would have won that first third. But let's move on to the song 5, which is Claudia Mirea. We Are the Ones. Claudiu Mirea. We Are the Ones, repeated throughout. Country meets pop. With big, huge tattoos, nice melody. Nicholas, tell us about this one.
I feel like so many national finals have this like country song that just seems to sound pretty much like any other. I wrote down that it was very forgettable, and looking at how it scored with the voting, getting some points from the jury but nothing from the televote, I feel like a lot of people would agree that it was just. I think it was just there to kind of fill fill in the last couple spots in the semifinal. In the final, I mean, it didn't really do anything for me.
And Ness, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Stuart. Yes.
Good. I'm very good. How's Sweep behind you?
Yeah, he's all right. He's just looking over as usual.
Yeah. Was he watching Romanian national final with you? Selecția Națională.
Yeah, he squeaked a heck of a lot for this one in protest. He and I spoke about it, and he basically said it was dull, flawed. Where was the rest of the man's shirt? And quite frankly, I couldn't stop yawning. It was a long 3 minutes, and that's really harsh of me. But I really tried to dig deep to see what the value was in this song, and I couldn't find any. So, apologies.
Not a fan favourite for you.
No.
Okay. You won't be fangirling even Claudiu and Mirea anytime soon.
I won't be, no.
Okay. Well, everyone loves to try. Let's move on. Song 6, Aldo Blaga or Aldo Blaga, depending on how you read that. Blaga with Your Journey.
Blaga.
He's a blagger. That's why I've called it that. Aldo Blaga. Everyone, and I'm thinking of doing this next year. And we talked at an earlier show that you can get into San Marino fairly cheap these days. So, everyone loves a blagger. Blagger with Your Journey, song 6. Romania's very own Engelbert Humperdinck, all in a black suit. 2 dancers dancing behind him. Pleasant ballad. Mitchell, take us through this one. Did you like a blagger?
Well, I thought that he gave me kind of modern day Bryan Adams feel. I don't know why I thought that. I could hear potential in his voice. There were times where he sang like crystal clear belts, and I was like, okay, he's got the voice. Not so much great falsetto when he went like, I don't think this song was written for him. I think it kind of shows the flaws of the song, that it just didn't match him. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of felt like, I don't know if you have it in the UK, but we have like a Stedfords where people can do singing competitions, and it just kind of felt like that at some old, some old place. But no, I wasn't feeling the song at all.
And Tom, coming back to you, we're at the end of the first half of songs. Aldo Blaga with Your Journey.
Oh,
what did you make of this?
I loved this. This was lovely. It was a stripped back anthemic ballad. It was very sentimental. I had goosebumps at some points during it. It did also put me in mind a little bit of Mark Vincent, who attempted to represent Australia last weekend.
I thought the same thing.
Was that just for Mitchell's benefit? I just asking that because he's finally got some order. We got an Australian in the chat room. Is that for his benefit, Tom?
No, genuine point. I thought.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought there was definite overtones there, and I think it was a truly beautiful song. Unfortunately, I do have the same opinion of this as I did with Mark Vincent's song, in that I do think that there is sometimes a Eurovision style, and I think in many ways this song was not the right song for this particular competition, and especially given the fact it was stripped back, so there wasn't a big anthemic build-up to it. It was almost like the vocal and then a very kind of soft background music to it, and I think it perhaps needed a bit more bigger build-up. Now, Stuart, let's take a look at the chat room for a second here. So in the chat room this evening, we have multiple birthday wishes for Nicholas.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, we've got people who are saying it's not justice for Laura, it's justice for Bella. Saying that perhaps may be a little bit controversial. We've also got some people saying that the winner of Romania was their favourite from the start. And then also, we've got the fact that Elliot, and a big shout out to Elliot, says, the ballroom dancers in Aldo was my highlight, but I am a ballroom dancer. so slightly biased. As always, guys, don't forget, keep commenting in the chat room. Keep telling us what you're thinking. If you've got any questions or anything for the panel, let us know, and we'll be posing them to them at a later point in today's show.
Thank you, Tom. Just a reminder as well, if those in the chat room, click the like button, and those that are watching this on the catch up, please click subscribe. It really means the world. We're doing this for you, so hopefully, whether you like the show or not, click the subscribe button and appreciate the efforts we go through for your viewing pleasure. Right, let's move on to song 7, and I think this one may be interesting for discussion. Ester, Peony with a song On a Sunday. It's a Sunday. It's a Eurovision winner for Romania. Ester, all in red, sits on a chair, rainfall backdrop, 5 backing singers even. Ester shows true attitude on stage. Joanne, was this your pick to win for Romania?
Not my pick, but not upset either. I thought, to be honest, it surprised me a little bit. I mean, I did watch the semis, but I thought she did better personally here than in the semis. Love the staging, the sofa, and also the instruments. The guys on the drums. There was something traditional there, and that's what I think the reason why people went for them in the end. Was because of the fact that there's that tradition, that Romanian tradition there, as well as meets modern. And I'm not disappointed at all. I think it, potentially it could go on to do really well. It's different. Again, it brings something to the finals that others don't have, other countries don't have, and again, could do really well. I do think that her vocals were actually on point, especially for some reason in the winner's song afterwards. That she did actually have some really good vocals there as well. Not bad at all.
So indie pop, it will go on to represent Romania at Eurovision 2019. They didn't qualify from the semi-final in 2018. Later on, once we've covered all the other songs, we will talk about whether this will qualify. Oban, now I know you've got something to say about this.
Yeah, Stuart, I would like to give maybe I would say 2 opposing opinions about Ester. First of all, once the song was finished, I was like, what just happened? I was like, it was a roller coaster vocally. It was highs and lows and highs and lows and highs and lows and higher and lower and high and low, and then I thought the Romanian TV just lost direction, what they want to do when they want to represent Romania. But on the other hand, if the format would be 50-50, 50% of the jury and the 50 public, I see that Laura would win. And I think sending Laura would be underestimating Eurovision because she would be a perfect act for Eurovision, Junior Eurovision, or a talent show, as she won. But it's a kid whose parents wants to show off that she can sing an opera, and I didn't see an artistry there. It was too much pushing of her talent, and I wouldn't like to see her. So for that reason, I prefer Ester, but I have nothing nice to say for both anyway. So.
Okay.
Sorry. To kill the mood. I killed
We'll explore this more later. Let's move on to song 8. Letitia Moisescu and Sensible Balkan with the song Dana. Mid-tempo pop, climbing to up-tempo. Sounded a bit like the Greek song Opa. Very Doridos inspired in style. If you liked Two Gents, as I know Oban did, which didn't qualify, this would have been the song for you. Hippie, hippie, hippo throughout. Fun and catchy. Martin, tell us about this one.
Well, to me, it seemed in the balance of things, it's a bit of filler between what ended up being the winner and what could have been the winner. So you had Esther and Bella. It was a decent routine. Not sure being the singer being used to the maypole, but there you go. She's got a good voice, but it really passed me by. And I know that's a lot others like this song, but it never really did it for me at any time during the selection process. So it was a decent song, but I felt, obviously in the big scheme of things, it looks as though the producers have just put it in as a sort of intermediate between what ended up being the winner and what was considered to be a winner.
I mean, this song for me sounded so Greek. I was ready to go and grab the ouzo. Tristan, did this work for you?
Oh, it did. It was my favourite. It was my favourite all along. I love the fact that it mixes sort of the Balkan, the traditional elements and then the modern elements, and the fact that it stops and starts, and you're not sure whether it's finished, and then it carries on and it changes tempo. It is such fun, and if this had won, not only it would probably have ended up top 10 at Eurovision, and probably would have been my favourite in Tel Aviv. Well, I obviously haven't heard any of the other songs yet, but it would certainly would have been my favourite of all the songs that have been chosen up until now. So it's a real shame it's not there. It was such fun and a great tune, and I remember it. I mean, it's just great.
Song 9, Bella Santiago.
Stuart, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. I just wanted to say I thought it was amazing that they used her as a human maypole when they got the ribbons out.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool about the song. Sorry. Just
Yeah.
wanted to say that.
That's okay. You can interrupt me anytime you like. Can I carry on now?
Yeah, I'll go on mute.
Thank you very much. Song 9, Bella Santiago with the song Army of Love. Which sounds a little bit like Army of Us in the Melody Festival and semi-finals. Different song. It's for me, Fuego with face paint. Bella is an Eleni Fuera style kind of performer, but not for me with the same level of attitude and sass. However, many fans of this song could have gone higher in Tel Aviv. Oban, tell us about this one. I mean, you're a big Eleni fan. Big Eleni fan. You flew all the way to Lisbon to see Eleni come second and not win. But tell us about this song and why this should have represented Romania.
By now I think you all know that I have a soft spot for showgirls and high energy performers, and I just I was like, where can I enlist for her army of love? And sign me up, sign me in. I'll be there supporting her. It's not just the energy. I thought vocally she showed us a variety of colors to her voice, different shades to her voice. It was delightful to listen to her. It was delightful to watch her. I loved it. She was a breath of fresh air, and she was my winner of the night for sure. Now,
we've criticized some countries for sending pretty generic sounding songs. For instance, we've talked a lot about Swedish songwriters making their way around Europe. Nicholas, does this have any distinctive sound of the Romanian culture in it? And should this have gone to Eurovision?
See, that's what I kind of feel like is the issue with this song, because it is a very typical made for Eurovision, but also made for radio song. See, I don't have a soft spot for showgirls, so for me, this was kind of like just in the middle. I certainly didn't think it was bad, and I think had it gone on to represent Romania, it could have done pretty well. That being said, I didn't feel like the costumes fit the whole vibe of the song. When I heard the song for the first time, I expected something different. I felt like with a song like Ruslana from 2004, it made sense with this vibe and this look. With this song, I feel like she could have gone for something different. I felt like it ended up being a bit of a distraction. So not a bad song, but it's one of those, like, thinking about it right now, I don't really remember much of it, and that's how I feel like a lot of times with these kind of songs.
I'm just coming back to Tom. Tom, what's going on in the chat room? Are there sort of any sort of comments around this song or any of the others that we should discuss?
Well, Stuart, the chat room is an absolute hive of activity this evening. David Ray said his personal winner is Bella. Edson is saying that Emily Forrest did wrong by not giving any points to Bella during her televoting, that obviously being quite crucial and may have cost Bella victory. Shouting out to Elliot again, who said that Bella was a budget version of Fuego. And there's also some bitterness going on about the televoting being ignored. Obviously, for those that were watching this evening, the televoting made up 1/7 of the final votes. So it wasn't actually 50-50. Got a question for the panel. It's from David. And it says, is Romania giving up on a Eurovision victory?
Well, I would say let's give this to Martin. Martin, maybe you can start by coming in with this on this one. What's your view?
Well, I think that Laura would have definitely Laura and Bella, I think, would definitely have got them into the final. And probably I would have suspected Laura might have given them a top 10. Bella, don't know. It depends on whether Army of Love was a one-off, a bit like Fuego was last year. As for Esther, having seen her perform tonight, I would probably say that she might not get through to the final, just purely for how the vocals came across on screen. I think it obviously sounded okay in the hall, and of course, because 6/7 of the votes were there, it doesn't matter. But it's obvious the televoters, she got a very low score. So but Esther's song is probably quite good for juries. I think jurors will actually like that song maybe more so than Bella's. So it's difficult to tell. I must admit, I don't think that Romania will do as well with Esther as maybe they would do with the other two. That's just personal opinion.
And Ness, what's your view on this?
Sorry, I've just taken myself off mute, Stuart, so I didn't interrupt you again. I think that Romania had some really strong songs, and I think Laura, without doubt, if she got it, would have been well received by the crowd. Esther, I don't know. I wasn't impressed by her first performance. So as well as she did, in her rendition of it at the end, it didn't fill me with enough confidence. She needs to be moving around a bit more than just sitting on the chair. But Romania, look, they've been outed once, haven't they, in the last couple of years through, controversy and stuff. But I felt they made the effort with this show, and it did give an indication that they wanted to be taken seriously in this year's contest. So
I agree. I think they definitely made an effort. Whether they made the right decisions on a few things it remains to be seen. We'll discuss that shortly. And finally,
I was going to say, we have another question in the chat room, Stuart. And this is a specific question. It goes to Joanne. It's from Elliot. And it goes along the same vibes of the Romanian victory. And it says, having watched Latvia's Supernova last night, do you think that Romania's entry is now going to be too similar to that of Latvia's?
I had the same vibes. I think he reads my mind. That's one of the things. I personally think that they are so similar. Group with a female singer, same sort of style. Yeah, I do think it's going to be similar, and I really don't think that we're going to, I don't think either of them are going to stand out, and it's such a shame because I don't think that either of them are bad songs. I just think that they could both struggle to qualify for that simple reason.
The follow-up question from Elliot is, which one do you prefer?
Probably Romania, if I'm honest.
Stuart, back to you.
As a tick for Romania, I'm sure they'll be delighted. Right, song 10, Trooper, with the song Destin. Heavy metal band Trooper, influenced by Iron Maiden, with the song Lay 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 Lay. That was it, wasn't it? The crowd loved it. I thought this was going to win. I have to say, at that moment in time. Tristan, what did you make of this?
I mean, it's not really my genre, to be honest. I don't really like heavy metal. Last year, though, Hungary, with AWS, that was fantastic, and that's how you do heavy metal in Eurovision. You add a little bit of fun to it, and excitement, and key changes, and fire, and everything. That was just fantastic. It was quite boring, I thought. But they are huge. They're a huge band. I mean, no wonder they came second in the televote. They've been around for almost 20 years, actually 22 years. 1995 they formed, and they've played with Judas Priest and Metallica and Sepultura and all these big names. So it's not surprising that they've done so well. That they did well with the televote, but I don't think it was very good. I don't think it was for Eurovision, and I don't think they would have necessarily qualified had they chosen it. So. I mean, hats off to Romania in a way, because they perhaps knew that. I mean, you really want to find out what the international audience thinks of your songs, as it's the international voters who vote for the contest. So it makes quite sense to actually give maybe more to international people choosing your song than the televote. So it worked, I think.
And Joanne, just round this one off. Trooper, did you see that as a potential winner?
Yeah, I did, and I'm a bit of a rock chick. I like a bit of rock. Every time I think about them, though, I just think they say that they're inspired by Iron Maiden. Well, I'm sure Iron Maiden have got a beer that's inspired called Trooper. I'm sure of it. Anyway, yeah, I do. I love a bit of rock music, and I did actually think it was going to win. It wasn't my favourite, but I thought as soon as I heard it, I thought, do you know what? I think they're going to surprise everyone. And unfortunately, the televote sort of went against them. Yeah.
Just to check, you did say you love a bit of rock.
I do, a bit of a rock chick.
Okay,
yeah.
Just wanted to clarify. I misheard. Anyway, moving on to song 11. Dio and Lucien Coloreza with the song Without You, Sin T. Reminded me a bit of David Bisbal from Spain from a few years back. Power ballad, Spanish and English. Martin, take us through this one.
Well, I think the bloke would have sung better without her, because this is very musical theatre. So it sounded musical theatre to me. So basically, it's all about the singing. He was superb. He was spot on. Great. She was awful. Dragged it down. Don't know why they had the dancers. It got worse as it went on. And basically, yeah, I think it was fairly low down on with everyone, wasn't it? I don't think this got many points at all. And, for me, it was a train wreck as far as her voice was concerned, unfortunately.
And Ness, was this did this float your boat? You love a bit of Spanish ballads, so was this one for you?
Obladi, oblada, oda. That's not a Spanish ballad, is it? But it's Spanish. No, I'm going to concur completely with Martin on this. The poor girl, I don't know whether she just didn't warm up in the right key, but something went terribly wrong with her voice. At times she pulled it back, but because she was going into her parts of the verse just slightly off, I think she was perhaps aware of it, and then that spooked her. But he kept it together really well. And like Martin said, if you took her out of the song, it would have been a lovely song. And that's a real shame, because I think it could have been better than it was performed tonight. And I just kept thinking, didn't I see this on stage with Spain in Lisboa? It was kind of poor man's Spain from last year, wasn't it?
It sort of sounds like every Spanish song that's not been written by Spaniards.
Yeah,
that finds its way into national finals. That is a sort of an assumed Spanish entry.
Yeah,
that's how it sounds like to me. Final song of the evening, Vader with Underground, very 1980s inspired. It struck me that she looked like she was wearing Johanna's dress from Iceland from a few years ago, all in blue, mid-tempo pop. Reminded me a bit of the Icelandic song Paper from a few years ago too, actually, for that matter. Vaida actually won the Romanian national final televote last year. In 2014, but came second in the end to Paula Selling and, of course, Ovi. Mitchell, what did you think of Underground?
Well, I didn't see this one live. I had to miss the last two to do this, but from the studio, this was the reason why I was happy to miss it was that it was at the bottom of my list anyway. I just wasn't feeling this song. I felt it was just really bland and forgettable for me.
How did it sound from the shower?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was listening to the rock song in the shower, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. I could certainly go somewhere with that, but I choose not to. Tom, round this one off. Final song of the night, song 12, Vaida Underground. What did you make of this?
Oh, Stuart, if Romania did Melody Festivalen, then this would be their song, wouldn't it? It had that familiar Melody Festivalen style. We had the backdrop. We had the emotion, very likable song. We had the dance routine. Do you know what? I thought, in actual fact, this was something that if it had taken part in perhaps more of a Scandinavian selection show, I think it probably would have done better than it did. It only got 28 points in the end. And it didn't seem to really sit well with anyone. She got 7 points in the public vote, though, which I think goes to show how the public valued it perhaps a little bit more. But no, this is, you know, was it hashtag banger?
Hashtag banger. So when you say it was a bit like if Romania did Melody Festivalen, are you referring to the type of song that makes it through to the 5 and then fails at the last hurdle, a bit like Dolly Style did last night and broke my heart?
No, Stuart, because I wouldn't stick £100 on a song like that. But, you know, I'm talking about more like the songs that would, you know, get through. Maybe Andre Chanson, maybe.
That type of Melody Festival. Gotcha, Tom. Good to know. Before we move on to the final bit of tonight's show, Tom, and round up what the panel think of Romania's chances, anything in the chat room of significance?
Well, it turns out that Trooper's entry was the guilty pleasure of a few people. Edson and Elliot have both said it was their guilty pleasure there. And I think, you know, that basically sums it up. Elliot does say as well, with regards to Dia, our little musical duet, that thank God he ditched the mustard-coloured suit.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Right, so Romania selected Ester, Peony with the song On a Sunday. So I'm going to go through the panel now and ask them their opinion on whether they think Romania will qualify. Don't forget, Romania are in the first half of the semi-final 2 in Eurovision this year. So a relatively tough draw for them. Do we think they're going to qualify? Joe?
No. But I wish they did. But I don't think they will.
Martin?
I don't know, because you're talking about Latvia as well, and they're both in the same half of semi-final 2, so they're going to have to keep them separate. I'm just looking at who else is in there. Maybe if she can actually have a decent performance, I think she's better playing it dark rather than having the red that she had this evening. Maybe, but I think it's going to be close because I think there could well be 10 better than she is.
Well, in that same semi-final, we have Sweden, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Norway, Netherlands, Russia, Malta, Moldova, Ireland, Denmark, and Austria of note. So there are some countries in there. I mean, Armenia and Azerbaijan, of course, did not qualify with Romania last year, but it's still a fairly strong semi-final in that respect. So they, you know, you need to send a decent song. Mitchell.
I think the jury will see the potential in this. I think it'll be one of those things where it'll get 8th in the jury and like 17th in the public. So I'm not sure what will happen. I don't think it'll qualify, but I do hear greatness. But I still was shocked that it won.
Nicholas, your view?
You know, as much as I love this song, and I was actually quite happy it won because this was my favorite of the evening. I think this is one of those songs that we will, when we look at the results after the grand final, we will see that this is placed somewhere around 11th or 12th in its semifinal, because I think it has the potential, but I think in a semi-final too, that could potentially end up being the strong one. I think it'll struggle, unfortunately.
And Oban, do you think this might qualify?
Besides the fact that I don't think Romania will qualify, I hope, even though I love Romania being a sweetheart of Eurovision, I hope they're going to crash to the bottom of the list, so that it will be a wake-up call for them to take it serious when they're choosing their song for 2020.
Ouch, brutal. Tristan?
Oh yeah, I think it'll qualify. It's I mean, a lot of effort went into tonight's act. It had probably the best visuals of all the songs, good choreography, and so if that's just a taste of what they're going to do, then I think they're going to have a really good visuals and choreography in Tel Aviv, and it's a good song. And obviously they've got Moldova in the voting for them as well in the same semi-final. I think it'll go through. It's certainly good enough, and it's a great song, and it's memorable. Yeah.
And Ness?
If I think it won't qualify, then it will.
Does that mean you say it will qualify or it won't qualify?
So I personally think it won't, but therefore it will. Yeah.
So go put your money on Romania to qualify on that basis.
I'll put £100 on it.
£100, yes. I can't do that now. Unfortunately, I have to work harder next week. So, Tom, coming to you.
Well, my personal opinion is, Stuart, I think if she tones down some of her theatrics there for the TV audience, I think she will qualify. And I think she's got a good chance of actually making it into the final. But I do agree with the chat room. Over in the chat room, both David and Elliot have offered their predictions on placings, and they reckon that she's going to scrape through the semi-final. We've got predictions ranging from 7th to about 10th place as well. And Elliot's offered the tantalising suggestion that this could be the opener of the semi-final as well.
Who'd have thought it? The opener of the semi-final. Yeah, it could be, I suppose. It's in the first half, isn't it? Yeah, interesting. Interesting thought. Okay, so that is our thoughts on it. I don't think we can really end this, though, without just having a few thoughts on the jurors, the international jurors. 6 of the 7 deciding votes were made by the international jurors. Question for Romania: did they make the right choice, allowing the international jurors to select their song? And I'm going to come to Tristan on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did. It's often it's an international audience that are voting, on international juries that are voting. So Romanians don't vote for themselves. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's quite hard for Romanians spending that money and their vote only counting for 7th, but. And you know, they chose great people. I mean, we blog guys, they know their stuff. They're fantastic at what they do, and it's good to have proper influencers. So these are people also they're going to be influencing the public over the next few months. So yeah, it makes sense, and I think they made the right choice. And I wish we did that in the UK.
And Joe, I'll come to you for the final point on this. What's your view?
I certainly think they chose the right people. I still think it should have been more public swayed, but I also get the reason potentially it may not have been. So it's just, I just think it should have at least been 50-50. But at the same time, you know, I understand why not. I don't know. I mean, it's up to them really. At the end of the day, if they think that the internationals are going to choose the better song, then let's see. If this is the first time, let's see what happens. And if they qualify and they do really well, then yeah, all credit to them. But if they don't, then maybe they'll learn for next year and go back to more public voting.
Thanks, Joe. I'd say thanks to the panel for their views on Romania. I think we've just got time just to talk about what's happened in the last 24 hours. We'll come to Tom briefly in a bit just to get his view on the chat room and anything that they may be saying. But what has happened in the last 24? Esti Lau chose their singer. Victor Crone of Court beat UK Silviste in the Esti Lau final. We saw Roko with The Dream represent Croatia from Dora. Joe, take us through a little bit on Latvia and Supernova.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good show. It was such a good show. It was professional. The hosts were amazing. The two ladies. The fan favorite pre going in was Edgar Case, who I absolutely loved. He was my favorite going in, and I was really disappointed he didn't win. He didn't just not win; he came 6 out of 8. And I think his Spotify views were way down because the way that they voted was Spotify and also the public voting by telephone and online and the jury as well. And he got really good jury comments as well. So I'm surprised he did so badly. Marcus River came 2nd. And then, of course, the winner was Carousel, who, as it's been mentioned already today, is very similar to Romania's winner as well.
He's forever the bride, forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. Is Marcus Reaver?
Marcus, yeah, he's the comment that was made because he was the way that the draw was made. The 3 lads were pushed to the front first, so Marcus was like so early on. He was like first on, and they just basically said, "Yeah, come back next year with a song that's a little bit different to what you normally do." So, and I'm surprised, but of course they love him, don't they? The public just love him, so they vote him 2nd.
Thanks for that, Joe.
Pleasure.
Slovenia EMA, they decided their singer. It was Zalia Krali and Gaspar Santi, which beat the pre-contest favourite Raven in the super final. Interestingly, when last year's winner for Slovenia, Leah Sirk, was announcing the winner, even she looked a bit surprised herself. But they've chosen their song, which is a ballad in the sort of style of the band Enigma. Adal chose their final their finalists out of semi-final 2. Yoki Papai, who took part for Hungary a few years back, won the Adal semi-final 2, advances to the final. And of course, Portugal, who is that's a massive favourite national final for me, chose their semi-finalists. Ana Claudia with the song Inertia, Kalema with the song Aduas, and Conan and the song Telimovis, all qualified, with Mate with the song Perfecto winning both the jury and coming 2nd in the televote. All 4 songs advanced to the Portuguese final. So, Tom, Friday,
Hello.
German final. Tell us about what we were going to expect.
Oh, do you know what, Stuart? It's going to be a fabulous show. We have got, I think it's 8 songs lined up in Germany to review. They're going to pick their song for Israel on Friday night. And then also on Saturday, for a stonking weekend, I'm going to be interviewing fans live at a Eurovision event in Manchester to see what their opinions are on the Melody Fest of Ireland songs before you do your show at 9 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah, we're coming live on Friday and Saturday night this coming week. Do not miss out. It will be fire, won't it, Tom?
It will be absolutely fire. Now, Stuart, just finally in the chat room this evening, just a couple of more comments from there. We've got Craig Austin, thinks Romania, borderline qualifier. Elliot says international jury is important to gauge how well your song will do on the international stage. And also a comment on Slovenia as well. The Raven, although the studio version sounded good, a couple of people there have said it was a bit flat when it actually came to the live performance.
Can I just also say, Tom, giving the international jury the chance to choose your song can also be sabotage. Just putting that out there.
It can be, and you know what? I would have loved to have seen it if they've actually opened up the voting on the Eurovision app, like the Czech Republic did, to actually let some of the international audience choose as well. And I reckon that would have been a really good balance between that kind of 50-50 international jury, Romanian public, but then also, we all
Bella would have won for sure if that was the case, because you have to remember that song has Filipino language in it, and There's a huge Filipino diaspora all over the world, including Europe. And I think the Filipinos would have really got together. Like, if you remember Junior Eurovision, the online voting was a really good trial, but I think a lot of Polish diaspora voted for Poland. And I think that was a very similar, that would happen again, I think.
It'd be interesting to see, but I think it would, at the same time, it just would have perhaps given an extra dimension, I think, maybe to the voting as well.
Just before we go, Tom, I just want to come across to Nicholas. Saturday, it's the Danish final. Really interested to hear his views on who we should look out for in Denmark this year.
Oh, yes, very exciting. See, I am not sure who's going to win at all. But I do think Julia and Nina, they got the chance. It really depends on if the Greenlandic public gets behind them and the whole Greenlandic population comes together and votes for them. My personal favorite is Love Is Forever. That's what I want to win, but I don't think it's going to. But I think it's going to be an exciting final nonetheless.
Thanks for that, Nicholas. Always is. I really enjoy the Danish national final. It's always a good one. Just like to say thanks to my guests. Thank you to Joe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mitchell.
Bye. Bonsoir, Europe.
And good to see you, Mitchell. Thank you to Nicholas.
Thank you.
Thank you to Oben.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much to Tristan.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you to Ness. Yeah, she's on mute. Night, Ness. And
Good night.
good night. And thank you very much to my co-host, as always, Tom. Tom, I hope you got your bags packed ready for Manchester for next week.
Oh, you know what? Everything is already packed because I'm that organised. The only thing I need to do is put the good old ESC Fan TV hoodie in the wash and make sure I bring that along with me up to Manchester as well.
Yes, and after as well, because it can get awfully hot and stinky in that club that you're going to. But enjoy nonetheless.
It will be fire, Stuart. There we go.
We will see you Friday at 9:30 for the German national final live reaction show. Look forward to seeing you there, and of course Saturday. On behalf of ESC Fan TV, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.